Welcome to Professional Women's Wellness Podcast, where ambitious women meet total well-being. I'm your host, Dr. Peggy Gleason, creator of the Mindful Eating Approach, conquering emotional eating and transforming your eating habits to enhance all areas of your life. We always offer inspiration, education, and motivation. But today, stay to the end for a special message. Today, I am honored to introduce our next guest, Terri Rahman. And she is a holistic health coach specializing in gut health for professional and entrepreneurial moms over 30 who work in high-stress careers. With a focus on gut health optimization, Terri helps clients heal issues like leaky gut, chronic pain, hypothyroidism, and metabolic disorders through a unique approach involving assessment and habit refinement. Her 8 pillars of health guide clients in reclaiming their health. Terri's passion stems from losing her mom at 38 due to over-medication and depression, and her own experience overcoming underactive thyroid. She now empowers women to transform sabotaging mindsets, improve gut health, and thrive mentally, physically, and emotionally. Terri runs a 31-day sugar-free challenge that has helped clients eliminate years of chronic pain and digestive issues. Her mission is to help others optimize their health so they can lead fulfilling lives. Welcome, Terri.
Thank you, Dr. Peggy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I know you a little bit better over the last several months. And what really fascinated me was that with all this, you had shared that prior to this, you were a social worker. So I want to talk about how did this transition come about, and how did you do it?
Yeah, so I had been working as a social worker for, oh my goodness, it's been over 25 years in, very stable environments. And then there was a big change that occurred in my working career where I had to actually apply to do the same type of work for a company that was not, run by the government. It was more private. So in that change, I was very excited about it, and I went forward with it and got established. And it was a high stress environment because it was like a new company and new changes. And I'm a seasoned worker, but doing all these different things, right? Like learning a whole new system, learning all new clients, learning all new computer systems. And it was like, at first, it was like 60 to 70 hours a week that we were working.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there was this promise that things were going to get better, right? And so I'm hanging in there. I'm like, of course, I have a positive attitude. I'm resilient. I can handle anything. So I just truck along and do my social work, with people, and I enjoy it. I love it, but I'm realizing that I'm kind of working a lot. And anyways, after about 3 years go by, I'm feeling a little run down and I'm feeling chronically tired. And I realize I'm kind of losing my social life because, I'm spending a lot of my weekends catching up on paperwork. I want to do a really good job. And it was the norm for us. Okay. So this wasn't like out of the ordinary. And I'm like, well, it's got to get better. It's got to get better. Well, I ended up having these like anaphylactic like reactions that were going on with me. And I was like, and they were happening at night. And I was just like, whoa, I think I better go to the doctor and figure out like what's going on with me. I'm like, I know I'm tired all the time, but let's see what's going on. So I went to the doctor and she said, well, let's check your thyroid. And I'm like, okay. And here I had an underactive thyroid. And I asked her what the, protocols for treatment were. And she had mentioned medication at the time. It's the norm. And once you go on it, she said, you typically go on it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, when I heard that, it brought me back to when my mother passed away when I was 18. And my mother was 38 years old. And I'm like, there's gotta be a different way than medication to solve this issue. So I told the doctor, he said, thank you so much for your time, but I really want to not go on medication. So let me do some research and I'll get back to you. Well, as I dug into the research, I'm like, oh my gosh, there is a natural way you can reverse an underactive thyroid, which most people don't know about because this is the common thing that we're told in conventional medicine world. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this is so disheartening. Like all these people on medication, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to not do medication. I made my decision. And then I also at the same time was referred to an allergist for those anaphylactic like shock. And he could not find anything that I was allergic to. So I actually end up partnering with a natural health provider. And in that process, they tested me for food sensitivities. And I had 28 food sensitivities.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, this is very intriguing. So, like, how do you get rid of these, right? Like, how do you now get rid of my underactive thyroid and these food sensitivities? So what I ended up doing is I actually quit working as a social worker because that was no longer serving me. And it took me about a year before I decided to quit because I was like, just hang in there, things will get better. And then they weren't. They just were like little lights, were like, oh yeah, it's getting better. And then it would not. So anyway, long story short, I end up going after I hooked up myself with the natural alternative medicine clinic. I started my journey on like prioritizing my health because I'm like, why am I living if I'm not being able to enjoy my life?
Exactly.
It got to be like that. It was like, this is silly.
I so hear you. That is so true.
I know. I just was like, this is just so silly to stay in a position that, I mean, I did enjoy helping people, but I was also at the same time feeling very conflicted because I was working with people, a lot of nurses, and I seen the clients being on multiple medications. And I knew that was not going to help their gut or their problems get better. I knew that medicine was not going to be the solution. And I decided, you know what? I need to heal my gut in order to heal myself. And
Absolutely.
Sure enough, that was the whole thing. And I realized that my job, the stress of my job, was one of the biggest reasons why I got the leaky gut. Okay. And part of it, I think, was, when you're working in a conventional medicine world and you start realizing that the system is not helping people, really, they're just kind of managing sickness. I started having all these conflicting beliefs inside of me. Like I was not serving people really well. Like I was just supporting a system that I no longer was really invested in. And especially in the natural health world, I mean, you realize that there are so many ways you can reverse so many conditions. I mean, there's so many conditions you can reverse. People are not even aware of that. And I'm like, I want to be on that track where I'm actually helping people
Yes, yes.
reverse their conditions and not support illness anymore. So that's why I decided to do the transition. And so at first, I was just really concentrating on my health for about maybe 5, 6 months and getting myself really strong and getting my family really strong and doing all the things like making sure I was eating proper, getting my exercise, getting my sleep, managing my stress, finding joy again in my life because that was something I had to recreate. And
Yes,
then I'm like,
absolutely.
and then my purpose, I'm like, okay, now what? I've had all these years of experience as a social worker. What am I going to do now? So I decided, you know what? I love health. So continuing on, I kept on getting like a little blurb on my phone, like, hey, maybe health coaching is your, next trajectory here for your career. And I'm like, I gotta check this out. So I checked into various like health coaching programs and I decided to go forward with it. It took a little while, but I'm like, yep, this is what I'm going to do. So I think it was like 6 months after I left my social work job. I'm like, yeah, this is the field I really want to go into because I felt like I could really help people take back control over their health and get them to live more optimally, especially those who are in high stress careers because they don't really realize what's going on like I didn't because they get so caught up in their work and their families and they're taking kids here and there. And, there's a bunch of activities that we're all doing. And then we have to find time for chores. And then what goes by the wayside? Time for cooking and meal preparation and the basics of health go by the wayside.
Well, it's true that all professional women, I don't care what level, but they all leave their own needs on the bottom of the list, and then they run out of time. And you said something really interesting, and it's two things that I have always said is when we think about Eastern and Western medicine puts a Band-Aid on the symptoms.
Yes.
Now, I don't think anybody should throw the baby out with the bathwater because if you break a leg, you're going to have to go there, right? Because they're great. They're great at acute health.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Mm-hmm.
And so that I so agree with you. But the other thing is I've always known that all disease begins in the gut. So you are right on target with what you're giving to people. You had said, I know you mentioned a few things, and it's similar to what I'm familiar with, the 8 pillars that you offer. If you can briefly just list them, that would be great. So people understand the structure.
Sure. So the first pillar is proper hydration. We have to start with water. I mean, it's such a simple thing. And all of my pillars, people know these things, but they don't do them. And that's the big difference. It's like, yeah, I know how to do that. Yeah, I know that. Like, but do you do it?
Exactly.
So I start with the basic of hydration and proper hydration. So first we talk about what is proper hydration. Well, it's not only drinking water, okay, but making sure you have a little salt and your trace minerals in your water so that your cells can actually get hydrated.
That's wonderful.
Right?
Yes.
So that's key because if you're not properly hydrating yourself in the morning, you're not going to set yourself up for a very good day. I mean, 70% of Americans are walking around without proper hydration, like at any given time. And so that's a key thing. And I know for myself, when I was getting busy too, like with my previous job in the social work, I was really not good at that because I was like, gotta do this, so you're like so busy and you're taking calls and you're attending meetings and you're going to home visits. And I mean, there was just like, okay, when am I going to have time to drink? And I forget because I'm getting so busy. So
not only do you forget, but as a critical care nurse working with many social workers, none of us had time to hydrate or eat properly.
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
it was such a dilemma because we all understood each other. It is really hard in those types of situations because you literally cannot leave. You have to keep going.
Yes, exactly. It's so true. So true. You just got to keep going. And there's got to be ways. So what I would do is I would put a little timer then on my phone when I first started hydrating. I put a timer like, okay, you have to stop now and you have to hydrate. To get myself to remember to do it, right? So,
well, I find even now what I do is I line up my bottles of water right next to me. I line them up.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And that, I mean, the reminder is staring me in the face. So there are a lot of wonderful suggestions, but this is great. Let's go on to some of the other pillars. Oh, yes. I'm so excited you brought that one up.
Sure. So then the second pillar is that I focus on eating real whole food. Okay.
Oh, what a concept.
Yeah, just eating real whole food. Now, what does that mean? That means getting out all the refined carbs out of your diet and just focusing on the basics, right? Your fruits, your vegetables, your nuts, your seeds, your eggs, your meats, your dairy. Some people can't do dairy. I get that. But just focusing on the basics, right, of health. And if you just did those two things, you're going to really help yourself a lot, I discovered. So yeah, because people don't realize, but all these refined products are toxic to the human body. The body does not recognize these foods as food. So what happens is it starts off that process of a leaky gut and inflammation. And there you go. You have the starting of disease right there. So if I can get people to understand how important it is to just eat real food, that is key. So then my third pillar is to focus on the gut microbiome. Okay.
Oh, so critical, right? So critical.
Right. So how do I help people optimize then their gut? Is I coach them through, okay, what symptoms are you having right now? And let's experiment with different foods. Now, what I aim for is helping people get more diversity into their gut. So I help them get 30 to 50 different foods, plant-based foods, into their diet every week. Now that's the minimum. Like I have been doing a challenge for myself lately where I'm getting over 50 different plant-based foods into my diet every day. And that, I love it because it's like this little game I play with myself. Like, how many can I get today?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So I help them focus on, and these are not hard to do. Like if you buy, for example, just to give you your listeners an idea of how easy this is, I buy the spring mix. Okay. And every day I have a salad, and that spring mix has 15 different dark leafy greens in it. So you get 15 different.
Who would ever think about that?
Right. Exactly.
Who would ever think about that? That is a great.
So you got 15 right there.
The listeners are going to be so excited because I think people, when they hear 50 different plant-based items, they're thinking, I couldn't eat that much in a day because they're not looking at the combination of different things.
Right.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And the more seasonings you put into, and then olive oil counts, and then you put like when I do my salads, they're packed with, oh my gosh, over 30 different things. Because I'll slice up a carrot, I'll slice up a daikon, and I'll just, carrots, a celery, onion, tomato, cucumber, peppers, whatever you like, you just throw in there. Yeah. And it's so easy then to get that into your diet. If you have a salad every day, I mean, it's so easy to get that in there, at least 30 in a day, even.
That is great. I love
Yeah.
these ideas.
Yeah. So, and then the fourth thing I focused in on, the fourth pillar would be sleep. Now, because it's so critical, right? A lot of us get in the habit of staying up way beyond that we should, and we have to get up early, and we feel exhausted when we get up, and then we have to rely on caffeine because we're low in our energy, which is just creates this cascade of illness, right? Because if you're relying on caffeine, it's really hard on the gut lining because the gut lining, is only one cell thick. So the caffeine kind of tears it apart a little bit. So you got to be careful with caffeine. I don't even drink coffee anymore because I'm like, oh, I'm not taking any chance on that one. I mean, I guess I could, have a coffee a little, but I went to mushroom coffee, which I
going to ask you because I've been doing that as well. And I love the mushroom, and I've been doing that for quite some time, and it really makes a difference.
It is. And go ahead. Yeah,
I found that when I was drinking a lot of coffee and I discovered the mushroom coffee, I weaned off the coffee by mixing them until the ratio, because coming off of caffeine cold turkey is very difficult for people. But I remember that was how I got into the mushroom coffee as a
You know what, though? I'm glad you brought that up because what I do with the mushroom coffee is I buy a particular brand that I love. It's called Joey, and it just has 10 different items in there. So there you go. You get 10 different
10 more things.
Yes. So you got 25 right there. You know.
Oh my
goodness.
And
then I add some lion's mane extract to it just for a little extra oomph, which gives you that mental clarity.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's so important to get that mental clarity. And it's so energetic. So you get a little energy. So it's a really wonderful bridge from coffee to going to the mushroom coffee.
Oh, definitely. Yes. It's wonderful. So let's go on with some of the other ones.
Yep. And then, so sleep, we talked about, but we got into that.
But that's okay because it's all connected.
Right. But it actually is connected very well because if you're drinking caffeinated beverages, that's not productive to sleep.
Yeah.
So sleep is critical, getting yourself into a routine. And then the next thing is physical activity. Because we gotta be moving. We were never meant to be sedentary people, right?
We were not.
No. If you look at our, ancestors, they were active people, and the longest living people in the world, the Hadza people, who are, I think, Palestine or in that Pakistan, somewhere there, they live to be like 120, 150 years old. And they don't think anything of it. And here we're shorting ourselves, by
half of it.
Right.
You're thinking that our lifespan is half of theirs, right? Which unfortunately it's pretty close because of because of everything that we're doing. But I don't want to hold you back on the next one.
Yeah. So, but the Hadza people, they are so active. They will. I think I read something like 50 miles a day. They'll no problem. Like they'll walk that. So it's, so physical activity is crucial. And then we have to examine relationships. Okay. So what relationships in your life are serving you, including the relationship you have with yourself? Because that's the most important one. The relationship you have with yourself is so important because it sets the tone for all of your other relationships. Okay, so if we don't have a good relationship with ourselves and we think poorly of ourselves, we're going to shortchange ourselves. And then in turn, we're going to shortchange other people from getting the best that we can offer them. So starting with ourselves, we look at, okay, what's your relationship with yourself like? And now, what relationships in your life right now would you consider supportive and loving? And which ones would you say are not so much? And let's focus on nurturing the ones that are supportive and loving and kind of distance ourselves from the ones that are not so much.
Absolutely. Right? I love this.
And then the 7 pillar is stress management and all that relationship stuff. All this leads to stress management anyway, because if you're taking a look at everything, you are going to be less stressed out. I mean, if you're hydrating properly, if you're eating well, if you're, taking care of your gut and you're sleeping well and you're getting your physical activity and you're looking at your relationships, okay, of course it makes sense. What are your stress management techniques now? So when you can be more resilient, right? You're setting yourself up to be more resilient to tolerate the stressors now in your life when you're focusing on all those other things. Okay. So it's really, it's a key component is to look at what tools do you use to manage your stress? Now, one of the things that I love to share with people is a couple of different practices on that. One is, number one, identify your triggers. Be really self-aware of what's triggering you, right? So that you can identify it. Because if you can say, okay, I am feeling irritated right now. I am feeling annoyed. Then you can take a step back and make sure you don't project those kinds of feelings to other people. You take care of yourself, right? And so one of the things that I love to teach people is called the Sedona method. Okay. And this is a very simple process that may take you 1 to 2 minutes to do. You can do it even with somebody else to help them dealing with a stressful situation. So I like to use that too. Yeah.
Boy, people are going to be asking you for that one. That's great.
Yeah. So, and then the last one, the last pillar is quality supplementation. And that will really help to optimize everything else in your body too. Because if you're not optimizing your supplements and if you're just kind of shorting yourself because our cells need a lot more nutrition. That's what in basic food, right? So we can't even, because of our soils are so depleted, we cannot even get enough nutrients from just eating real whole food anymore. So it's really critical that we.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love those 8 pillars. And I love what you're doing for your clients. And I'm sure, for all of you listening, you're going to want to connect with Terri. And I understand you have a free gift for our listeners. Can you just briefly tell me what it is?
Sure. It's just 7 easy meals people can get started that are going to be gut friendly for them so they can get those 30 to 50 different plants into their diet.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I can't wait to open that. Well, this has been so delightful, and I love listening to all the wonderful things that you are doing to serve people and the wisdom that you're sharing, and it's so generous. And I just want to thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, Peggy, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.